after being lonely and looking at all the dating websites and realizing that nobody wants an insecure little bitch. So I decided to look at an old game that didn't remind me of all my failed relationships. PUBG Mobile. Not really, but still as bad as the mobile version. PUBG on Xbox One. I had first-hand experience playing this game on release, the Xbox One and One X. This game ran horrible, almost as bad as my mother's workout routine. Had more frame rate drops than I could shoot somebody, and it looked just as bad as the Xbox 360 release titles. But I played the game anyway. Turns out, if you look past all the downsides of the game, it was a lot of fun. But for me, my Xbox couldn't even handle loading the game. It crashed multiple times. The game was playing hard to get, and I wasn't falling for it. I tossed my Xbox out the window like it was running from the Nazis. I guess you could say, not see that one coming.
Killed myself? Good idea!
Besides that, I went and bought a brand new Xbox One X. This game could barely run. The game is poorly optimized at the time for the Xbox One X and could barely run on the One or the S.
Where's Garrett?
Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Inedible Cub, and today I want to talk about PUBG. And if you're not already liked and subscribed to my YouTube channel, please give me a like on this video or any video that's decent, and please hit that subscribe button. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to get into about PUBG and PUBG being alive in 2021 is surprisingly how much the game's performance has improved overall from the day that I first played it back in 2017 on the PC and on Xbox. I think it was later 2017. I think it's definitely improved a lot. Like the gameplay I have the original gameplay that I recorded when I first played it back in 2017, and then the gameplay of me playing it now. Overall, I think the improvements have been major. Game performance and graphic design. I think the textures are still very bland compared to other games out now, like Call of Duty, Rainbow. Like even Rainbow, they came out in like 2014, 2015. Being compared to those graphics, yes, that's a game it's not battle royale. It's not pushing it, but for being an older game that had good graphics. Compared to this game doesn't run very good on older consoles. It still runs better than when it came out. I think you were getting like 30 frames, barely 30 on the Xbox One and the PS4, and now you can get about 60 without an issue. It's definitely improved. I went out and bought Series X recently, and I reloaded the game up and ran on that. Dude, it run probably the best console it runs on overall, just because it's newer hardware, more powerful, better improvements have made. I think overall Call of Duty Warzone is probably the biggest competitor against this game, because Apex and Fortnite are both in their own tier. Apex is of course a sci-fi shooter with sci-fi mechanics, and then Fortnite is just this fun game overall where they just add whatever. It's crazy, the guns are crazy, costumes are crazy, like that's just a wild party game. Then you have Apex, that's more of a serious futuristic battle royale, and then you have Modern Warfare's battle royale. Warzone I would say is probably the biggest competitor again against this game, but it's doing pretty well. I mean, Black Ops 4 battle royale was pretty good, but again, PUBG was one up. It was leaning how the game plays. Overall is probably the better experience, because they have leaning. A lot of games don't have leaning. Call of Duty has leaning. They added leaning into Modern Warfare, but Cold War doesn't have that. Rainbow has leaning. Apex doesn't have leaning. Fortnite doesn't have leaning. In the space, I think PUBG definitely has every other game beat, just because they have overall more mechanics, but at the same time less mechanic. It's more streamlined because you have leaning. This game plays well. You have third or first person. That's pretty interesting. Definitely gives you better gunfights, and you can spot enemies easier. So I see why PUBG is still alive in 2021 and why it's still going strong. I mean, considering that this game still, you can find a lobby pretty fast, but it is cross-platform as PS4 and Xbox. I wish it was cross-platform as PC as well, but I guess the shots are too good or whatever. So moving on to the next thing I want to talk about, how bad the game ran on consoles when it came out. The game dogged it was probably the worst game ever on consoles. It was probably worse than Black Ops 3 on the Xbox 360. That's how bad this game ran. You were dropping below 20 frames per second on the One X, or the One. And I find that funny is that this game came out and was all hyped. Xbox was hyping it up, saying this is a new Battle Royale game, blah, blah, blah. And they're like pushing it. And then when it comes out, the game is complete garbage. And I'm like, okay, so you skin it down so badly that when it runs on the Xbox One, it barely can hit even 30 frames. You're trying to get a game that should be running at 60 frames, and it's running at 30. So you run into those issues where you're like, is it worth it buying this game? And honestly, that's why I stopped playing it, was because the frame rate was so bad and the graphics were so terrible. When I would parachute down on the ground, it would just be like stuttering, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, how are you gonna play a game if it's just gonna stutter randomly? And like, if the game is made for the Xbox and was like came out on the Xbox first, it should be able to run. Now I know the game wasn't optimized at all. Like, the game was horribly optimized for consoles. It was basically the definition of PC port to bad hardware. And the Jaguar processor that's in the original Xbox and PS4, garbage, complete garbage. Like, that's why AMD never put it out for like people to buy it, because it was just overall a bad APU. Then the One X came out, was overclocked. They added more RAM, faster RAM, and the PS4 Pro came out. Overall better consoles. The game could run on those consoles pretty decently. But definitely going back to like the One and the PS4, this game can't run. So definitely don't buy the game if you still have the base old consoles that came out in 2013. The second thing I really wanted to point out was that the controls. This game has very interesting controls. So when you're aiming, you don't like aim down. If you hold the trigger, you just like do this thing where it's like kind of a slight hit fire, just more of an accurate hit fire. But when you actually want to aim down, you got to double click it or just click it real fast, and you aim into the sight. Now, for me, starting off, I didn't know how to do that. It was so confusing. I lost a lot of gunfights just because I didn't know how to overall do that and change it up. Now, as somebody that played for a couple of hours and tried to improve my aim on it, I got 4 wins after I figured out how to play the damn game and how the system works. The controls are definitely wonky as all hell. Definitely, PC port territory, bad PC port territory. And the controls don't have as many settings. Well, they originally didn't have as many settings as you would like. Like, now they added Dead Zone and all that stuff, all that juicy content. Dead Zone is great. I like running my Dead Zone at 0. And then they did improve the controls by a lot now. They added way more like stuff to do or fix the controls. They also added mouse and keyboard support. So now you can play a Battle Royale game with mouse and keyboard. Practically every game is trying to go for mouse and keyboard on consoles. Now, it's really nice for a lot of people because, a lot of people like mouse and keyboard overall, but sometimes it's just broken. Okay, so mouse and keyboard can be horrible to a game's community, like Rainbow Six Siege, where on Xbox and PlayStation, you're going as everyone with controller, but then you're with a mouse and keyboard and you're like flicking on everyone. People don't have the same reaction time. That's where mouse and keyboard becomes bad in a game. Now, I think PUBG, the way that they're doing it and the way it's already made for keyboard and mouse, and doesn't really have like a designated player base on that console, it's definitely easier to just add it in and without an issue. But to be honest, I think PUBG has improved by a lot, and if they have added plenty of maps in, plenty of stuff into this game, definitely improved it from when it came out to now. I think this game should be more popular in 2021 and hopefully stays alive into the future. Instead of it's not getting held back like Modern Warfare Warzone's getting held back by the engine that they made for Modern Warfare. That's holding it back. It's a good engine, but that's what's holding holding it back. And you get into a game like this where it's literally all about Battle Royale and they can constantly update it and change it. I'm hoping in the future that they will fix the graphics and make it look a little better, make sure the game runs a little smoother on console and platforms and all the other things. Maybe even come to the Switch. I mean, Apex just came to the Switch, so why not PUBG? But these are the things that they should think about. But my video is never gonna go anywhere, so like, what does it matter to me? Basically, I think PUBG is going to stay alive for the next couple of years. Hopefully they improve it, maybe a PUBG 2, maybe a continuation to the game, improvements. I think they're doing a great job so far, just fixing everything. I know it's been about 2 or 3 years since the game released, and they're now barely fixing stuff, but hopefully in the future the game will be coming out better and be more optimized for systems. Hope you guys like this video. Please like and subscribe and check out my other content, and peace out.